we have to start by saying things like geopolitics, climate change, and economic uncertainty is a given. So we don't need to cover more existential problems. We had a pre-chat to help refine such a wide topic, and it struck me that there were probably the main key theme that came through was the rapidly changing relationship that the CEO and the brand has with their sort of stakeholder triangle. And what we mean by that is the consumer, the team, and of course the shareholders. Marcella, if we could kind of come to you first, perhaps the consumer demands and preferences are evolving at an unprecedented pace. Right? We've kind of heard it already today. So how are you adapting your strategies? You've got 3 brands, in slightly different parts of the kind of sector. How do you kind of evolve that, and given, and how is it different by brand?
Okay, I think today, first of all, thank you very much for having me here and for sharing the panel with these amazing people. I think today the challenge for any global brand is that we need to think local. So the same thing goes when you have many brands. You need to think brand. And not everything can be put in the same pocket. And even we were discussing earlier today that centralizing doesn't mean that the brand needs to be lost. You need to keep the brand. So for each of the teams that we have, I make sure that the DNA, the heritage is respected, and that the only things that you can really put together are the areas that are not consumer facing. Same thing goes with the regions. There's things that you can centralize, but you need to make sure that you have a good team that understands the region. What we have been discussing all the day today, if you want to succeed here, you need to have knowledge from Saudi. If you want to succeed in Mexico, you need knowledge of Mexico. You cannot cluster everything under areas, GCC or Latin America or North America. So it's very important that you work very much into that mindset where teams says, okay, you can centralize certain functions, but you need to get that culture in there. Same goes with the departments.
Sure. And I guess having those teams keeps you awake even more, because from the span of time you have from Mexico through to your Asian markets.
Yeah, I think that at the end you have 4,000 employees all around the world, but I think the biggest challenge is the generation. When we speak about team, we always talk about consumers, but the teams as well have that stretch now. You have a very big population. In my case, 67% of the organization is under 35 years old. They demand other type of leadership than the people that are 50 years old or 45. So it's very important that today as leaders, and every day I'm thinking, okay, what do they need? They need change, they need evolution, they need transformation. They are not people that want to be static, same as our consumers. So the same thing applies inside the office like outside the office.
Sure. Alexis, welcome. Christian Louboutin is obviously synonymous with iconic luxury. How do you, and I guess Christian, navigate the sort of shifting demands and definitions of luxury and the sort of exclusivity and sort of this diverse, digitally democratized world?
Okay, how long do I have to answer that question?
Well,
thanks. Okay, quickly. So I will probably give 2 examples because I think that's easy to do with example. First is rising comfort. I know comfort in a company, in a shoe brand, it's not always an easy topic. But let me give you this example, quite good, is that quickly in the market, after the crisis in 2008, the market went up and there was only for shoe brand. So we conquer part of the market from 2009 to 2014. 2014, the big brands, mega brands, they were doing 2-3% of the business in shoes. They said, guys, it has to be with us also. So they wanted to get involved and get a market share. They tried for 4 or 5 years, was not successful. What they did, which was brilliant, is that they started to do sneakers on the fashion runway. With that, they really initiated the sneakers and they got market share. After the sneakers went down, but what's left today? Left is that the consumer, the woman, they're okay to wear high heel, but they want comfort. So that's not something we were very known for. So we have decided to change that. And what's going on today is that 2.5 years ago, we were doing 70% of our product offering was 10 centimeters and higher. Now, 70% is below 10 centimeters. So we changed completely, the way we approach that. So we think that, again, to address the consumer, we think that we could, create very nice shoe, mid-heel, and it's still, very fashionable. That's one. Secondly, I will also say authenticity. Authenticity. It's funny because just before, like a week ago in the NRF, in New York, one of the consultants gave me a quick summary, and he says, what we were speaking about is authenticity in the NRF in New York. So what does it mean for us? Authenticity is to do things that make sense. So, for example, when Christian, 10 years ago with David Lynch says, okay, I want to do something with him. He called me on a weekend. What can we do? That's authenticity, because they want to build something together. Secondly, also authenticity could be, we can look at many other options, but when Christian have a lunch with John Galliano, and John Galliano says, I'm working on a couture show, can you do the shoes? Oh yes, I want to do the shoes. That's not something we think, it's authenticity. And we'll finish with authenticity saying that for us, authenticity means craftsmanship. So now what we do pop-up in the department, in the mall in China, where we send, craftsmanship, our team, just to show how we build a shoe. That's for us what is important. We don't do pop-up to sell product. We just pop-up just for authenticity.
Which means, obviously, with those two that you've just described, you can often lose your authenticity if you change the product too much. So that balance, I guess, we'll come on to at the end with in a minute with a stakeholder. Nurtaç, welcome. Authenticity for you, your brand is sort of deeply rooted in the sort of tradition and cultural values of this region. And, your brand is such a great example of a brand that has come out of the Middle East and really grown globally. How do you balance that kind of preserving that heritage and that customer with appealing to this modern global consumer?
Thank you. And thank you for being here. It's really a privilege to welcome all of our guests today. I would like to say that it's such an inspiring story that Bateel has built over the last 30 years since its inception. It's a luxury brand, homegrown brand. Our roots are here from Saudi Arabia. We originate from the organic date farms that we have here from the center of Saudi Arabia. And we became an international player now with 170 locations in 25 countries. We have two lines of businesses. You know us probably mostly with our organic dates, but we also have the all-day dining cafes, restaurants all over the country, but also outside of the GCC region. Now we are growing very fast, not only in this region, but also in 3 continents. The way we connect our heritage with the modern consumer is to be true to our roots. We keep our heritage and we define our expertise with organic farming. We build an excellence in organic farming, the way we build the premiumness, the luxury of our product, which is a natural product, by really creating innovative farming practices, by creating the most delicious, most premium dates you can find. However, this is not one thing that we have focused. We also built the experience, transformed the experience of gifting. It is almost an art. We treat our dates as jewels, and we think those jewels need to go to very special boxes that are crafted by artists around the world, and each season our designers travel throughout the world and find the best artists that can speak to the cultures of different regions and build the most beautiful boxes. The way we appeal to the modern consumer is, of course, with innovation. It's not only dates. We innovated date chocolates, date dips, date balsamic vinegar, date bakeries, date pastries, date-inspired dishes that you can see the connection and the difference that we built in the healthy life, healthy lifestyle. That is also inspired by the date, by our origin. We provide the life experience to our consumers with elevated, healthy lifestyle that you will experience in our cafes, all-day dining restaurants. We also believe in giving back to the nature by sustainable farming. That is another topic that is very important for the young consumers. We want to make sure that the environment is protected, nothing is wasted in our farms, and that's how we pay back to the nature.
Yeah, I mean, I guess on that basis, you are almost a Gen Z. You're the most traditional Gen Z brand there is. It appeals to all of those kind of sensitivities and sensibilities that the generation has. Taking through that sort of generational shift, we can start talking about the other stakeholder, which is the team. You know, and it creates a lot of consternation in many businesses now as how you bridge what's best for the business and what's best for the team that you have, particularly around the life priorities, work-life balance, career progression, and managing expectations. Alexis, I mean, have these changes reshaped the way you approach leadership and communication in your organization?
Yeah, that's a subject that keeps me up at night. Yeah. This one, that's a good one.
It's probably a whole it's a conference worth in that question.
We all know that the people are changing, and especially the young. You know, that's for sure. So what do we do with that? Again, I give you two examples. The first one is I call it the bottom-up management instead of the top-down. So most of the times we all know that there's a steering committee, they give some direction to the team, that the team execute what has been decided by the steering committee. On our side, we took two examples. The first one is the CSR, committee. And when I call bottom-up is that, you will understand why, is that we have created, first, we have hired someone that came from a big group, and the person came and said, I need to leave because nobody understood what I wanted to do, and it's not working. So I said, okay, fine, how do we do that? So what we decided is to create a CSR committee only with the young people in the company. So not at all in terms of steering committee, whatever, just passionate people. And when we said to them, just handle the committee and propose to us what to do. Not only we were not very young, so probably not very attracted by that or understanding, but these people are passionate. So we gave them a lot of strength, and it's amazing how they were doing it. So what we do is that on every 2 months, they come, they present what they want to do, and we say yes or no. But they are the one driving the force. So that's one. Secondly, we have started to create a shadow steering committee. So what is it? Is that, again, this time we selected the people. The last, on the CSR, they were, they wanted to be part of that. On this one, we selected 9 people that have been in the company, but again, young person, and we say, we give you something that probably you were waiting for, is a way to change the company and to work on the future. So they started to do it. Amazing how they were, motivated and how much we get for that. But one thing we say is that, guys, surprise us, move us. It's not because we've been doing it like that we should continue. So surprise and go. So that's one of the things we want to do, just to push the bottom up instead of the top down management.
And I guess a surprise in that you're actually following through on some of the things. It's not just a voice box. There's actually an authenticity about what you're doing. Marcella, in terms of, it's not just about their attitude, it's about, frankly, in businesses now, the number of different new roles that are being created. Talk a bit about how your organizational structure and the number of roles in it have changed.
I think what Alexis was saying is very right. The first example will be, that's 5 or 10 years ago, CSR was not exist. Nothing at all. We have spoken about it. But think about 5 years or 10 years ago, there was no photo studios, no e-commerce, a big team. There was testing, no AI team. There was no planning in the way that today we speak about it. There's so many new areas. So how do we do that is, of course, you create all these areas, but you're not canceling any of the others. It's just incrementing traceability. There's communication, internal communication, employee branding, so many new needs. Now, how do you do that is with efficiency. So you know that you need to deliver an EBITDA that shareholders are asking for it. You know you need to have profitability, but you cannot spend more money. So you can only work on shifting efficiencies, processes, and of course you need to invest to get something in return. I think that it's about making decisions in a group. I think what we're doing a lot is the same, having teams that will help us to say, okay, we can reduce here in order to invest there. I don't think that today the CEOs have all the answers. I think we're there to direct the teams, to really have with the seniority, be able to understand and have a vision. But a lot of the decisions we made it with a team also bottom up. I think it's easier because then they also engage.
Yeah.
They also will accept certain changes. If they are part of the change, they will be the ambassadors of the change. It's like, I cannot force AI. I love AI.
Yeah.
I love digitalization from all the process. I cannot push it. But if they are part of the team, if there's a committee for it, they're the best ambassadors around the team.
Yeah.
So how do I invest? I would say shifting processes, efficiency, and making the people be part of it.
Yeah, and almost, I guess, to some extent, making them more general. So I think a lot of people now do a number of different roles. I think when we were starting in retail, you were merchandiser, you went merchandising all the way.
I think we need to accept that today, after 2 years, they want to move. 1 year, they want to move. So you need to also create enough variation in the roles. You need to understand that you need to create the idea of you're in this area, now you can go to this area, because one of the big things is after 1 year, they think they know it all.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Somebody of 30 years old says, I have been doing it for a year, I know it all. So, you know it all, now go to this area and learn this. And I think they discover again, that challenge again of knowing it's going faster, so.
Nurtaç, based in the Middle East, you must have a much younger dynamic in your head office than probably a lot of the brands in the audience. Plus, faced with the level of growth, 30% growth this year, I think you shared with me, even more planned for next year. How do you build that team to kind of keep them all motivated, keep them all kind of in one direction and together when there's such growth in a business?
Employees, and especially young employees, they are driving most of our innovation, and we just have to create the culture and the environment to allow them speak freely and share their ideas. That's what I really value in the company, because our leaders, our senior management team, they also empower their teams. This is across the different levels, different departments, and we would like to hear what they have to say. They are not only our employees, they are also representing the customers. They are also caring for the brand, and that's why I think the insights that we get from them are the most important. I must say that some of the very powerful innovations we have introduced during the past years are coming from our younger employees. One of them is really accelerating our growth in the delivery aggregators and the combination of retail, boutique retails, with the need of our customers to have now and immediate delivery of food items or self-snacking or gifting items has driven our younger employees to encourage us to be brave, to put the delivery platform to the forefront as one of our omni-channel segments. We also empower the teams to create marketing, social content ideas, because the communication is now different among younger population. The way we use words, the way we use messages are different from what they expect, and we would like to hear what they have to say, how they would like to communicate. They are mostly building the content that we share in social media, and they are also encouraging us to change some of the practices that we manage our human resources, the workforce management, to reflect the expectations of the younger population in our human resources. I believe listening to the younger employees provides us to be relevant to the contemporary life, work life, and to the market. And I personally love working with the younger team.
Keeps you young yourself, doesn't it? So let's come to the third part of the triangle, the most demanding and the most impatient, the shareholders. With your level of growth, how do you keep them aligned with your growth story, with their expectations, especially during these sort of rapid times? Are they ever more demanding as you see greater success?
It's very much engraved in the values that we have in the company, and they resonate with my values very much. Transparency and integrity are very critical, not only to your stakeholders, but between the shareholder, to have the right expectations between the management and the shareholder. Transparency and integrity is very critical. Our shareholders are represented at our board. At the end of each year, we come together to discuss our strategies, also considering the uncertainties and the impacts of the external environment. And those discussions are participated with the management team. They also provide their insights from the field, from their customers, and it's a very open communication between the shareholders and ourselves. We build our strategies, we align on the targets, and then quarterly we review our results. Of course, the life goes on and there are unexpected and expected changes. We make some revisions, we pivot some of our strategies, and this constant communications keeps us continuously aligned with the expectations.
Sounds good. Alexis, I suppose part of the problem now is there are so many KPIs that you can be hoisted up on. You've talked to me about this kind of plurality and a different way of measuring success for Christian Louboutin. Can you kind of share it a little bit more?
Yes, for sure. Just let me know, because it will be a bit like Carlo, when he said about the pizza and the risotto. That's I love that, so that's okay. Just quickly. So I call it the magical triangle. So it's pretty simple in fashion. You have three sides. You have the shareholder, the management, the CEO and the team, and you have also the designer. Very important to think that the three sides have equal power. If you think that the designer has less power than the two, you're done. So all of our job in fashion is to make sure that these three sides in the triangle work very well. But by definition, the minute you find it or you resolve it, it's going to get broken because the designer leaves, the shareholder wants more money or whatever. So keep it the magical triangle is one of the most important things. In the middle of the magical triangle, there is the brand equity. That's what we're coming to a new KPI. The brand equity is quite interesting. What is it? First, you have to define what is your brand equity. It's based on 12, but we're not going to go that way. But what is important is that most of the times you need to work with outside consultant because it's a job you cannot do yourself. And usually you do it after at least 5 years and at least average reach probably 100 million, more than that. Less than that, it doesn't make sense. Work on your DNA, you're creating your company, you don't need to do it. But first, define your brand equity. When you define your brand equity, you need to give a score to the brand equity. So quickly, what is it? There are 4 components, quite interesting. And the first 3, add, the last one, reduce. The first one is the brand awareness. So what is it? It's visibility. It means I think of it. The customer think of you. So what is it for us? We have been doing some small shows. Nobody knew about it. Last time in September, we did one show in a pool. We organized a show, a fashion show with the shoes in a pool with the Olympic synchronized team of the French Olympic Games. People look at that. We have 30 million of views. It was crazy. So again, awareness and be specific. Secondly, brand desirability. So how do you do that? It's desirability is that I want it. So you need to make sure that the product that you bring, you have enough storytelling, and the people say, "This is the shoe that I want. This is the one I've been looking for." Last week we launched a special shoe that's with the sole everlasting. and we redone completely the structure. But it's something that people want, so I want it. Thirdly, the brand territory. Very important to understand. What's the territory? It means that I can relate to it. The customer can say, that's my territory. Is it because it's, for us, for example, is joy, color, travel, fun, because it's about fun. Christian is about fun. So they can relate to that. That's those three add together, and that's a plus. Where is the minus? Is the brand danger score. What is it? It means that you do things where people say, I look down on it now. It's not working anymore. What is it? For us, for example, it could be counterfeiting. It could be over-cannibalization. It could also be over-sexualization. Sometimes it's great to be sexy, but not vulgar. Be careful. Yeah. And the third one, it could be, we can go on, but it could be also risky ambassador. Yeah. So that's, for me, the new. I would just finish to say that I think if you start giving that to your shareholder, it's very important because it's not only sales or profit. It means that you're working on the future. You can work with your shareholders saying every year, it's not important the score, it's how you increase the score year over year, and how you show to your shareholder that you build a brand equity, not just based on sales. And if you do that, you will have probably seen that some brands such as Michael Kors or probably, that have difficulties today are probably still on sales, not so bad, but are destroying the brand equity.
Sure.
Sorry.
We've run out of time, really. But Marcella, in terms of Marcella, sorry, or in terms of the level of rapid change, the amount of resource you need, and frankly, with all the talk of AI, etc., which we haven't even touched upon yet, the choice of the CEO about where they place that resource is probably the toughest question, and where, particularly when they go and see the stakeholders for the capex for the following year. How do you decide where that goes, and then measure? I was going to say, how do you measure the return? We've only got a few minutes, but how do you go about just saying we need to place our cards there, because that's the hardest call?
I think, Alex, is brand equity. I mean, if I think the vision is, in our case, is to create brand equity by transformation and evolution. So if you take that as a mantra for the organization, the easier is to make decisions. Now, we want to deliver double-digit profitability. So there's an ambition and a vision. So one of the big things is for us to take the shareholders through the journey. I have very active shareholders, to be honest. So I have made them go through the journey. This is the vision, 5 years vision, no more. This is the strategy, how to get there. These are my priorities for this year. So I think it's going from a very long time, 5 years, down to this year. I think this year is where we think, okay, what are the investments that will take us there? You need to drive it. Now, we know that it's today the world is a candy store. So you want to do everything in 1 year, you can't. So there's a combination, okay, you need to grow your EBITDA, yes, but maybe you can do it in a period of 2-3 years in order not to lose brand equity. Because if you go too fast, you're going to lose brand equity. Sometimes you have also periods of transformation and cleaning. You need to clean in order to see new plans. So all these type of decisions, it's part with the shareholders. I build a case for these things. I also say what will be my priorities, what will be the return. I think we need to explain it, but again, I believe that you need to embrace the management, the team, in order to sell it better to the shareholders. And if you keep brand equity is connected to consumers, so it's going to return in sales. Sometimes it takes 2 years, sometimes 1 year. But we cannot be driven only by return. If we are just based by return, I will tell you I will take many other decisions that will give me very quick cash, but it will not create brand equity at the long term.
Sure. Okay, thank you. We've run out of time. We've not even touched upon the platform, decline of department stores and marketplaces and all the issues around supply chain. We'll come back again, maybe in Dubai in 9 months' time, whenever it is, and take a nocturnal view of insomnia for a second time. Listen, thank you all for your time, and congratulations to you all on managing such amazing businesses on such small amounts of sleep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.